first, ranting is not governing. That's the focus of tonight's angle. All right, better late than never. Some liberal commentators are actually beginning to see the light. The affordability crisis, well, if there is one, it's mainly a blue state crisis.
They promise wonderful sounding new programs, free childcare, but in fact preside over bloated bureaucracies and inept execution. If America has an affordability crisis, it tends to be in places Democrats govern, like New York, Illinois, and California, which all feature high taxes, soaring housing costs, and stagnant outcomes in basic areas like education and infrastructure.
Interpret that as, well, it's a disaster there. You're beginning to wonder, is there some aerosolized, chemical compound floating in the air out there in the Pacific Northwest that makes everyone out there totally nuts, or that blurs their vision so they can't see the world as it really is? But only, of course, the socialist utopia they wish it would be. A few months ago, The New Yorker posited a question that should answer itself. Can progressive mayors redeem the Democratic Party? Well, if you thought New York was in a heap of hurt, well, you haven't seen the socialist landmine Seattle just stepped into by electing a new mayor who has almost no professional adult work experience other than being a left-wing activist. Meet Katie Wilson.
I ran for mayor in Seattle because we are in a moment where we have an affordability crisis, just like many cities around the country. For me, being a socialist is really, first of all, it's about a belief in good governance, right? I think it's really damaging when people lose faith in the ability of their government to successfully tackle big challenges.
Good governance? And she's going to tackle big challenges? A 43-year-old woman who is still being supported by mommy and daddy?
Campaigning for office is stressful. Seattle's one of the most expensive cities in the country. Our childcare is off the charts expensive. And honestly, I think that a lot of people of my generation and younger and older found it very relatable that during this stressful campaign, my parents chipped in to help to pay for the cost of their granddaughter's daycare. And I think, families help each other out.
Well, she can't budget her own life, but now she's going to be responsible for overseeing the budget of an entire city? Is this really Seattle's best? Gosh, I hope not. It's a beautiful city. But she is right. Things in her state are very expensive because of liberal policies that blow money on stuff that doesn't work while they hyper-tax the job creators, which she, of course, wholeheartedly supports. Remember, she helped spearhead an effort to increase payroll taxes, supposedly to pay for affordable housing. Now, the result's going to be what it always is with these soak-the-rich policies. It just ends up decreasing business investment. Remember, Amazon's already laying off more than 2,000 people in the Seattle area alone, and it's moving others outside of the city to Bellevue. So Seattle's new tax will only ensure that other businesses follow suit. And just like her ideological brother-in-arms, Zohran Mamdani, Wilson promised government-owned grocery stores, rent control across the city, universal summer childcare, and another tax on capital gains on top of the other tax she pushed through. Well, she says it will all rebalance the tax system. My friends, Katie can't even balance her own checkbook. Now it's the whole tax system she's got to handle on. Okay. Of course, Mayor-elect Wilson has a phenomenal roster of far-left mayors to emulate, however. After all, look at how well Chicago's Brandon Johnson's doing. When he's not spending most of his time defending the immigration rights of illegal alien gangbangers, murderers, rapists, he's figuring out ways to drive the last job creators out of his city. His $21 per employee per month proposed head tax is one of the worst ideas to come along since cashless bail. But how bad is it? Well, today, after 1 month of debate, the Chicago City Council refused to even advance the spending bill. Those are Democrats, by the way. This was an embarrassing public rebuke of an incompetent mayor. And, of course, Johnson's still refusing to withdraw his head tax proposal. But at least his allies in the Chicago public schools are having fun. The state office of the Inspector General finding that the district spent millions on luxury trips for staff. This included a Hawaii professional trip and 15 trips abroad. They were living large. Nearly 90% of CPS attendees stayed in hotel rooms that exceeded the spending limits, and at least 24 took round-trip Chicago-Las Vegas flights, costing more than $1,000 each. They also found notably when this conference was held in the Windy City itself, well, wouldn't you know that few of the public school employees attended. But it gets better. There were 15 trips to Finland, Estonia, Egypt, and South Africa, with optional side tours to a game park, a hot air balloon ride, and camel rides. That's good. How many of the public school students in Chicago know where any of those countries are that the teachers visited? And as they jetted near and far on the taxpayers' dime, the students they leave behind in Chicago, of course, are floundering. But remember, liberals care so much about the children. So much that they're working overtime to keep their cities overflowing with hundreds of thousands of foreign-born and illegal aliens. Rather than focusing on Americans first, school kids first, cities like Charlotte, North Carolina, have public schools whose budgets are being gobbled up by English as a second language students. And people were shocked to learn this week that out of a city of 900,000 residents, 150,000 are foreign-born. And instead of wanting illegal criminals and those with deportation orders removed from the state, Governor Josh Stein is simply doing what Democrats do. Well, he's lying.
We've seen masked, heavily armed agents in paramilitary garb driving unmarked cars, targeting American citizens based on their skin color, racially profiling and picking up random people in parking lots and off of our sidewalks. This is not making us safer. It's stoking fear and dividing our community.
Liberals just never fail to disappoint. Even when they promise, by the way, to do better, like San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie, he just replaced on his board of supervisors an individual who was recalled by the voters. Okay, fine, someone's recalled, big deal. But then they only found out that the replacement that they put in for the guy who was recalled, she was a nightmare too. Axios is telling us that Isabella Bea Alcaraz had a pet shop that violated multiple health and safety codes last year after inspections revealed animal feces and unsanitary conditions. By the way, the woman also had no political experience at all. Now, we could go on and on about how cities and states are governed by liberals, progressives, socialists. And we will go on and on until Americans realize that if they want to save their cities, they're going to have to start electing real mayors and real governors who refuse to make the same mistakes that have destroyed urban America for decades. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.